Good morning. It is morning huddle time. I'm Chad Prinky here alongside Stacy Holzinger, as always.
The nature of the beast is the competitive nature of the industry.
Is if you can see it, you can be it.
It's all about the people. The people are what make it great and worthwhile. And
yeah, anything that I think helps build the story behind the company is great.
These are the things that that you're like, we don't need that because we have plenty of work right now. Got it. But if you don't do it now, where are you going to have work in the future?
All right. What is happening today, everybody? Welcome to the Morning Huddle Construction Show. You got myself, Matt Verderamo, today, and also here with Tom Hughes. Tom, do you want to say hey to everybody?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, huddlers. Great to see everybody or hear from everybody today. I hope we get some good interaction in the chat, and as always, go Birds.
Yeah, which you mentioned that a minute ago. I'm a Ravens fan, so we got a big one coming up in a couple of weeks, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
I got some buddies from Philly coming in, so I'm excited about it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for everybody that's listening, everybody that's looking at us, you figured out that we're not Chad and Stacy, so we're excited to be taking the reins today. But for those that don't know, I'm Matt Verderamo. I'm a senior consultant with Wellbuilt, where our mission is to create positive change in the construction industry. And we have Tom Hughes here. Tom, is there anything else you want to say about what you guys do real quick before we get started?
Yeah, with Genesis AEC, we're architects, engineers, construction managers based out of Bluebell, PA, right outside of Philadelphia, mainly focused on the life science industry, and we're a full service EPCM contractor. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Yeah. And you say that's it, but it's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
It covers the full service of the building industry. So
we are the better looking version of Chad and Stacy, though. I should add that.
I really like that as our tagline. That could be like our dynamic duo thing. I actually really like that. Let's make sure to tell them that. Cool. All right. Well, guys, we got a great show coming today. We've got Roger Krulak here from FullStack Modular. So, Tom, I think I'm going to pull Roger in. You ready to do this?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Roger, welcome on to the show.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tom. How are you this morning?
Hey, good morning, Roger. How you doing?
Doing
fantastic.
Pretty good,
thanks.
It's a nice early morning for you, right? You're out on the West Coast.
I'm on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast today. So, yeah, it's a little bit 3 hours difference.
Cool. So you're doing a nice 6 a.m. morning for us. Well,
Exactly.
Thank you. And I know the huddlers appreciate it too, Roger. So thank you. So, Roger, why don't you tell us about what you do, your company, and give everybody the lay of the land of what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I am the founder and president of FullStack Modular. We are a design manufacturer of fully volumetric, all steel modular buildings, mostly for multifamily, student housing, hotels, multifamily, etc.
Awesome. Yeah, super cool. And I've got to ask this question right off the bat because it was in some of our prep conversations that we've talked about it. But I said, I think I said something like, so you're a modular builder. And I think there was a facial expression that I could tell was not positive and a reaction. And so can you tell us why? I think you even said I hate the term modular. So can you talk about that term modular, what it means and how what you guys do is different than modular construction?
Oh, yeah, thanks. It's a great question. I don't hate the term modular. I just don't think it sells you anything. I mean, there are lots of things called modular, and as modular's popularity grows, there's more things called modular as one might expect. But modular can be a curtain wall system or paneled walls or mechanical trade racks, or it could be what we do, which is a fully volumetric modular solution where everything structurally, mechanically, electrically, and plumbing and the facade is all one system that we bring to site and connect to make a building.
Yeah, got it. So it's less about the word modular, and it's more that there's a very important clarifying word in there, which I think is volumetric, right?
In fully volumetric modular construction, you are a lot closer to defining at least what the end product is. What it contains is a whole other conversation, but what it is, that's a pretty good description.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the ways you had put it before, Roger, was the prefabricated, pre-finished volumetric construction, which I thought
Yeah,
was
that's the nomenclature that they
PPVC.
use. Yeah, that they use in Singapore, which I think is incredibly descriptive and have very few hopes for it catching on as an industry. But here in the United States, anyway. But PPVC is a very good description.
Well, and I
Prefabricated.
think the other thing is too, there's sometimes you get a little bit of a negative connotation with when you hear modular construction, you know, a modular building. It's almost like the connotation is that maybe it's something that's of less quality or something that's just thrown together and set down in place. And that really isn't the case, right? It's there's a larger focus on quality when you're prefabricating something, because you've got the ability to build it in a controlled environment, right?
Yeah, I mean everything is definitive instructions, absolute, sort of ergonomic manufacturing sort of ability to automate, but more importantly, everything that comes out of the factory is inspected. Every system, every item. There are extensive records, and as we all know, conventional buildings are never 100% inspected. Everything in our factory is 100% inspected, and also has a third party watching the process as well.
Yeah, it really is an interesting point. I think I had a professor at one point who talked about how construction is manufacturing a custom product on the client's site, which is very different than manufacturing a widget in your own facility. Because when a machine goes down or there's a bottleneck, it's your own people that are talking about it, instead of somebody coming and putting their fingers in the caulk and being like, why is this going on? And leading to 10 different meetings. Which I think, what you guys what you guys are doing is really, a solution to that problem in one way. And kind of the question that comes to mind, and it's a very basic one, Roger, is just why did you, what's the need for pre-finished volumetric modular? What made you chase this dream down yourself to go, build this company and do what you're doing?
So I have a couple of personality traits for anybody who works with me or around me. I'm incredibly impatient. I hate to wait in lines. I hate to wait. I will never stand in a coffee line that's like 7 people long to wait for a coffee. I just can't do it personally. And
Love it.
I don't like waste or inefficiency. And our industry, you sort of described it. The reality is what's happening on site is not only not manufacturing, but it's organized completely the opposite of what an industrial process is. It's a disintegrated approach where every sort of skill set and item that's going into the factory is not organized at all in an efficient fashion, but is organized by the trades. And that is inherently inefficient. It has some huge benefits, but it also slows things down.
Yeah, got it. So it was that drive for efficiency that really pushed you to say we've got to do something a better way. Is that right?
I mean, that and cost of construction, need for housing, yes, the inefficiency of a process on site. Even though lean construction has made leaps and bounds effort to try to fix it, it's still mighty slow. And the industry, certainly our part of the industry, the housing industry, has since 2007 fallen significantly behind. In the 3 to 5 million deficit, and we actually can't build enough. We can't build enough capacity currently to even keep up with the pace. So if in order to fix the problem, you need to double the pace or triple the pace. There's a need, and this is one way to increase efficiency.
Yeah, Roger, I think this is something that's, pretty near and dear to me as somebody who grew up in one of the first kind of mass-produced communities in Levittown, Pennsylvania. William Levitt was kind of like the pioneer of seeing that there was a shortage of housing, and he needed to figure out a way to mass produce housing, and that's essentially, you know, what him and his sons and his family had did is they created a method of mass producing housing where they were building 20 to 38 houses a day, you know, depending on the size, where they would have crews come through, set the pad, and then a week later you got guys coming in that are just doing framing, guys that are just doing the exterior, guys that are just doing the roof, and they would build, you know, 18 houses during the day and 18 houses at night. And you've kind of taken that and you know, you're like the modern day William Levitt here, where you're coming up with a solution for housing shortages, which to me is pretty cool. What, you know, I guess how did you find your way into there from where you were before?
Yeah, how did well, I grew up in the construction and development world, family and friends, and so done a lot of construction development over my life, and again, with my impatience, found it very frustrating, and we weren't delivering what we needed to. So I am often trying to find a better way to do pretty much anything, and so and I obviously spent all of my life around and in development. It seemed to be a natural move, and I was at that time working for a city in New York, and we had 6,500 units to build, and and the volatility was extraordinarily high. And if somebody says to me, "I don't know how to solve this problem," then I'm going to start pounding at things, trying to find a solution for it, regardless, mostly, and obviously in my industries specifically.
Yeah. And what does, now that you've made that transition from developer to the volumetric modular builder, who's your ideal client? Who are you going and chasing after that's willing to go down this, I'm going to call it crazy path, but put it in big quotes, because it's really not crazy, but it seems crazy to most of the industry to go this direction. At least I think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could narrow sort of where we look. I mean, obviously, I explained that we're in the mid, or I maybe haven't explained. We're a solution for mid to high rise buildings. We're a tall building solution. There's lots of solutions for 7 stories and under, and et cetera. But when you see a modular solution, you can use the efficiencies created by the industrialization of pretty much every other industry and utilize them to create the built environment. And that was, it seemed a common fit. Everything in a building almost always is manufactured, but everything that we use to make the building or put the building together is manufactured, but somehow, some way, the building isn't manufactured. And that seems like a strange conclusion for an industry that has, that is a 14% of the world economy almost. So.
Yeah, love it. And so when you're going and chasing down new deals, I'm just finding myself curious, what are some of like the typical ways that you go to market, maybe even as just generally a volumetric modular builder, and then what are FullStack's differentiators that you're talking to clients about? I think our listeners would love to hear more about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'll go reverse answer the question. We are a fully volumetric solution that's mid to high rise focused, and really on housing, student housing, multifamily housing, hotels, and our system is fully integrated. So the structural, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing is all one system with all of those components that goes together, basically like Legos in an erector set, facade on, etc. And so that is unique. There are lots of players in the space, and they all do things slightly differently, but our system is fully integrated. And customers are people who have a lot of product and a lot of repetition. That's the value proposition. So Industrialization requires some opportunities for economies of scale to be efficient. And so if you're building one building with 7 units, it's very hard to be efficient. If you're building 15 buildings with 400 units each, and they're all somewhat similar, at least in what you're building, not necessarily in how it looks, there's opportunities to save more time, more money.
Yeah, got it. That makes a lot of sense. Tom, any questions coming to mind for you?
Yeah. So Roger, do you have designers in-house where you're doing, you're basically creating all of your, designs for assembly or designs for manufacture? How does the, kind of that front end process work?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Tom. And one of the most important things that I haven't explained yet is that in order to be successful, a modular process really needs to be design build focused, meaning that everybody sits on the same side, has the same goals, works together to do a bunch of things in an effort to meet the goal of the team. Cost effective housing that looks like this, that meets all these requirements in this location, and we need to do it in X months. And then, so if you're willing to sit on the design build team, it is a solution that can be highly effective and valuable. If it's a one-off, I want it to be an iconic building that looks like nothing in the world and it's never going to be built again, it's probably not a good modular candidate.
But unless you have, you got to kind of find something that can be repeatable within that facility, right? Like,
yeah, I
there's
mean,
things that you can adapt for modularization, but you're not gonna, assemble the entire thing offsite, depending on
maybe. Oh yeah, I mean, there
right?
certainly are. Most projects have some element of conventional construction, whether that be just a foundation, or it might be the retail at the first floor, or the lobby, or the restaurant at the roof, et cetera. It could be, so you don't have to be 100% one thing or 100% anything. And again, the design build process with a good team, architects, engineers, FullStack Modular, and its internal DFMA team. That was your question. We have a design for manufacturing team in-house, but we work with local architects and engineers, to work with the city and use their sort of professional capacity.
Right. And sort of
permit process.
Integrate your assemblies into their design, I guess.
Yeah, so we use our system, the parameters of our system, and how it was created to be fully integrated, and we provide that in the design build process to the design team, which includes us, but architect and engineer, and then we add those parameters to their process.
Now, I know you do. Your focus is kind of mid-level rise residential housing, but have you ever thought of maybe doing something where you're just providing, say, the envelope, exterior metal at the exterior panels, or some way of kind of defragmenting your operation, or it's all or nothing?
You mean, do we do components? For example,
Sure.
I mean, so the industry has component manufacturers, and we occasionally do manufacture components. And frankly, if and when you ask me later what I think is going to happen to the industry, is that the integration of the sub-assemblies or the pieces and parts that you're talking about, curtain wall, bathroom pods, etc., the way to start to meet the market need is to integrate that assembly process in a way that is not necessarily absolutely standard, but integratable, and that's a process I think that's going to happen over time, and a direction that the industry is heading in as adoption continues to increase.
Well, yeah, you hit on that earlier with through entities like the Lean Construction Institute, where you see there's a lot more push within the healthcare and life science industry for prefabrication and modularization. You know, kind of what you're doing is on the forefront of what they ultimately want to be doing in order to, you know, speed. It's all about speed to market, right? So
It's not
having
about that.
those,
If you're spending a bunch of money, you really want to start creating revenue as soon as possible.
absolutely,
Absolutely. Yeah.
especially
I mean,
for
on top
healthcare
of
and
that,
life
I think,
science.
yeah, the industrialization opportunity is not only, there's some good things about it. It's not only ergonomic, it's done in a factory, same weather conditions all the time, every day, same place all the time, every day. Uh, and on the floor, you're almost never more than 25, 30 inches off the ground. So it does provide an opportunity for safety well beyond, sort of the safety that can exist on a construction site.
Well, it's not just the safety of manufacturing within a, you know, a, con- a an area where you're in a controlled area, a controlled environment. You're also then setting it in place at the construction site where now there's less hours in the field
Mhm.
where you're creating this, and you're creating safety in the field by kind of reducing that risk.
Yeah, I mean, when you set our mods, they have lifting lugs built into them. When you set our mods, really, there's once the foundation is in, there's really nothing to do outside other than set the mods. Everything else is in it. So deliveries stop, integration stops. You're basically just connecting the pieces, and so it is, yes, very safe as compared to conventional construction.
So that kind of leads me into my next question, the logistics of your operation. So I've got to imagine that you've got, sort of large warehouse areas, um, where you're building a lot of, modules together and shipping them out. What does that logistics look like from your facility, assembling it and getting it off to the sites where you're going to have various amounts of lay down areas depending on where you're building? And sometimes you could be building in the city where you got, lay down areas at an absolute premium. So how do you overcome that, or kind of tell us a little bit about the logistics of how that
Um,
operation works?
Yeah, I mean, our ideal is always, and again, this is part of the design build process, but our ideal is always to ship mods from the factory to the site to be picked that day and installed. So no lay down area.
Okay.
But but obviously there's that coordination and logistics, and it's just the logistics of anything else in the world, right? So our mods are generally wide loads, so that there's special ways to transport it. I mean, the good news, as I explained, is it's very easy to pick them up. You put an SOC on them and you move them around just like and you can move them around as much as you'd like. But you obviously need the right equipment and the timing in order to be able to organize the logistics of and it could be shipped by truck, by boat, by train. It really depends on what it is and where it is,
Right.
or all of those things.
Right. So as far as a backlog goes, you're pretty much making things and getting them out as they need to go, so that you're sort of a continuous assembly line within your manufacturing space. You don't have sort of any kind of stored space where you've got panels or whatever just sitting around. You're building it as it's needed, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do, a little bit of a misnomer. Just in time isn't really just in time. Just in time is it gets there before you need it, but not too long before you need it.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of our process, because yes, we need a lot to make the building as one whole system ourselves. So everything needs to be there, and we want enough of it so that we never slow down the process.
Which takes a ton of coordination, right? So
Yeah.
you've got to be in lockstep with the construction team. How does that dynamic work? Is it
Yeah, I mean, in our factory, everybody in our factory works for FullStack Modular. So they're managed by our production team like any factory, and their work is organized in an assembly process, as I mentioned, and is as a process agnostic as to what is going in, and more focused on when it's going in order to increase efficiency.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the good news about manufacturing specifically, the reason it happens in almost everything but the built environment is that you need lower skilled labor. You can teach almost anybody who has basically tactile skills and reasoning, and you can teach them how to do some portion of the modular assembly process.
Awesome. This has been great, Roger, and somehow we're already at 9:25 Eastern, 6:25 Pacific. I think you brought it up before, but what is your prediction for the future of volumetric modular? Where do you see the construction industry going in regards to that?
Well, I mean, it is currently experiencing significant growth for the reasons we've talked about. The industry, I feel and looks like, will continue to grow, and will take more of the sort of construction market as time goes on, and as I said earlier, as the productization increases and the compatibility increases, the opportunity for larger volume is needed. Do we really have a choice as a country? We've got to figure out how to house the people that we need in our other factories, chip factory, to work, and big cities and colleges. I mean, the housing crisis is across the board. So,
do you find you get a lot of university work, Roger?
We're doing a huge project for a university in California right now, and we're super excited about it.
Yeah, so I think one of the things we didn't mention was that you're bi-coastal. You've got right now you're joining us on the West Coast, so we'll try to get you out of here soon, so you don't have to wait too long in line at the coffee shop. But and then you've got a location in Connecticut, right?
Yep. So right now based in LA and Connecticut, and super excited to be working with the teams we are, and all of the growth in the industry.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Roger, for giving us your time today. Anything else you want to tell the people before we send you out here?
I mean, I'm a Ravens fan, so I'll just stick with that. Okay. Anyway, but don't hate me for that. And I hope you all have a fantastic day.
Cool. Well, that's certainly meaningful to me. So thank you, Roger. Cool.
You too, Roger. Have a good day, and
you too.
Just cut in line if you have to. Tell them you were held up.
That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation.
It's a whole other morning huddle.
Exactly.
All right. See you, Roger.
See you.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was good. Really awesome. I can't see if anybody had any questions or comments. I only saw the first two, so I'm having a little technical difficulties over here. But if there are any questions or anything that anybody needed to address, I don't know. Maybe we'll send Roger a note, because I can't see them.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, and I'm not seeing them here either. But hope everybody. Yeah, if you did have questions, happy to swing those around. Another great show, Tom. Thanks so much for doing this here today. I had a lot of fun doing it with you, and thanks for asking great questions and all that to Roger. Guys, everybody listening to the show, if you love the huddle, you can sign up for the newsletter. You'll be seeing you'll see the link for the newsletter in the show notes for the podcast. We will return on January 14th to kick off the new year. So stay tuned for that. We'll be on LinkedIn Live, as well as posting the podcasts everywhere that you listen to podcasts. If you are a construction company listening to this and are wondering about other cool stuff going on in the industry or how you might be able to improve your business, feel free to reach out to us at Well Built Construction Consulting anytime. We have a leadership and executive readiness boot camp coming up here December 2nd and 3rd in the Baltimore area, which we're really excited about. Had a bunch of awesome people that have been through and had really positive experiences so far. So if you've got anybody on your team that you're looking to level up, it's a great opportunity for them. You can reach out to us through our website. Stacy with Steel Toe Communications, who's normally hosting, also wants to make sure that people check out her Chat CTE channel on social this week. She's going to be celebrating apprentices all week, so that's going to be pretty cool. Tom, is there anything, in the Genesis world that you want to shout out? Any exciting stuff coming up?
You really put me on the spot here. I don't have nothing exciting coming up. We got a holiday party coming up. That should be exciting.
Cool. Love it.
But if we're a full life science EPCM company, engineering, architecture, construction management, commissioning, asset management services. You can find more information about us on genesisaec.com. And we are one of the sponsors of the Morning Huddle construction show. So
yeah,
appreciate the time here. It's always a good time with you, Matt. It was a good time, both of us kind of co-hosting today for the first time. So see if we can have this dynamic duo out again.
That's, I agree. And you said it well. The better looking Chad and Stacy, I think, is a good. I think that's a good tagline for us to have under our name.
Absolutely.
But before we head out, I want to thank our other sponsors, Genesis, as Tom just mentioned. Thank you so much for supporting the show and for letting us borrow Tom from time to time. Katz Abosch, an accounting firm with a really deep expertise in the construction industry. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Lawrence Law. Kate Lawrence with Lawrence Law, super well networked in ABC and just really deep construction knowledge and a lot of contractors in the Baltimore, D.C. area that work with Kate and her team. So thanks for supporting the show. Reach out to her if you're dealing with anything on the contract side. Sandy Spring Bank, thank you so much for your sponsorship. Another company with really deep ties into the construction industry. And finally, Marsh McLennan Agency. Insurance and bonding needs, general contractors, subs, all of it. So thank you to all of our sponsors. Tom, thank you again for your time here today. And, I'm going to end it with a Go Ravens. And if you want to do a Go Birds, that's okay.
Of course, Go Birds. And have a great holiday season, everybody.
Cool. Yeah, good point. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining the show today. We'll see you.
See you.